Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is the start of our second case for Apocalypse Keys. And we did our kind of session 0 setup, got our characters in place. There was a little bit of follow-up on that on the following session. And then we've done a couple of sessions with the first door, which is kind of an introductory scenario. We are moving on to a little bit more involved mystery, which we'll come to the briefing on in a bit, but we'll talk about that in a moment. What I want to do is remind everybody to take a look at our safety tools that we have. We've got some things on our green list that are things we want to lean into. We've got one thing on our sort of slightly veiled list, the love and romance, and then for things that are sort of hard lines, we've got graphic descriptions of blunt force head trauma, sexual assault, harm to children, torture by the species, and misogyny. And then we've also got the romance matrix to kind of complement that yellow thing. And of course, we also got open door policy, and we also have our X card as our tool. This is the last time I'm going to talk about that at the start of session, unless our lineup changes. I may peek in again when we start another mystery, when I talk about content warnings for particular things, but generally know that those things are on the table, and I think we've got those tools established at this point. So what I want to do is go through and check, just a quick check-in to see if everybody is cool with the choices that you have made for your character. If there are any things that you might want to change, or if there are any things that you want to swap around, or you'd like to have clarifications on. I just want to like make sure. I don't know where people are at, but let's confirm on that. So Paul, I'm going to start with you on this question. Do you have any changes that you want to make to your picks, your choices for your character, or any questions you have about the things that you have taken?
No, I think you answered really any questions I did have last session that we played. And I am happy with the picks I've made.
Okay. You will clear your conditions in between cases, so you can clear the lonely and confused. We'll check in when we actually go to the mystery to what you want to choose as your XP trigger. And the other thing that I was going to ask about is, did you get a new move? Looks like your XP track is filled.
I will clear the XP track now, and
okay.
Probably while you ask other people, I will ponder.
Okay.
So I'll take take a new hungry move. And yes,
Okay.
where can I find? Oh, they're all there. I just tick which one I want.
Exactly. And it looks like you're 3 of 5 for ruin, so not quite up to that, but let's see if we can work on that. Quick question on the
ruin.
Mm-hmm.
Does that reset like XP?
Absolutely. Yeah. As soon as you fill that track, you'll take a choice from those ruin choices below, and then that will reset.
Excellent. Thank you.
Let's come to Alan. Alan, are you pleased with your choices? Do you have any choices you want to switch around? Do you have any questions about the abilities and things that you've chosen so far?
No, I think I'm okay. I will clear raging.
Okay.
I spent a lot of last time raging. Oh, you're going to ask about XP trigger after this round?
Yeah. When we get to the, I'll give the case briefing beforehand, just in case that might shape your decisions. Where are you? You're one short on XP. Looks
That's
like
right.
to get a new move, and
3
you're
short
2 of 5 on ruin. So pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So I think that gives us that. That brings us back around to our surge. Puckett, what about you and your choices for Lissa?
Yeah, I'm good with everything that I've chosen so far.
Mhm.
I did wind up with a new XP move and a new ruin move. Just to double check, we have to take these in order, correct?
No.
So I could take, say, a new division move or a new power of darkness instead of taking just a new surge move.
Right. I believe the only thing that is like restricted may be your playbook.
Okay.
Taking a new playbook. But I think everything else is your choice on what you want to take.
Okay. I also have a question, and this is for
Sure.
Andish. The ruin move I was looking at taking is this is the blood of my covenant, but it requires this is I mean a lot of this stuff requires consent here. But it basically means I create an unbreakable covenant with another monster in the fervent and twisted hope that the two of us can resist the abyss long enough to save each other. If we create a covenant together, we both mark ruin and bind our power to each other. You're now my chosen. When we create a sacred moment of communion, I get to either tell you how you matter more than any other and destroy any number of bonds I have to clear any number of conditions you have, destroying them one for one. I can whisper to the harbinger within you and promise that I will fall to ruin first, which erases any number of ruin marks you have and transferring them to me. And I can empower you beyond your reckoning. I can mark one ruin to permanently grant you a new power of darkness that reflects an aspect of me, and I have to describe what it is. So would you be, because, and I'm basing this on the way that Egther responded to Lissa in the previous mystery and how compassionate and empathetic Egther was. Is that something that you're okay with doing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
All right. You are now Lissa's chosen. And I'm sure that will not end badly for anyone.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
And then I will dig around and see what else I want. With the choose a move from another playbook, I'm assuming that we are choosing moves from playbooks that have not already been chosen.
That'd be my preference, at least to start. Yeah.
Okay. So I have 1 XP move or 1 XP advance remaining to figure out. And I've taken my ruin advance. And then I had 1 ruin over and above that and 1 XP over and above that from last time. So,
all right.
But otherwise, I'm good. So
excellent. That brings us to the last, literally and figuratively here. Andish for Egther. Are you happy with the picks that you've taken?
I made some changes to the flavor stuff. So my name is now a temporary name I've grown used to, rather than what I had before. I've also switched the symbol, which never really gelled for me, to an alien body that cannot be disguised, which is like he always gives the impression of not being human, even though his like outward appearance is somewhat human.
Okay. People who interact with you will realize that there's something alien about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also changed one of my what does the darkness demand, instead of destroying all life on Earth, which kind of overlapped a bit too much with resurrect my people at the expense of humanity. I've instead picked to betray the division, because and that's largely to play into what happened on our first mission.
That makes sense. You looks like you're 2 XP away from an advance there.
Yeah, and I've taken a ruin move. I carry the hope of my people, so I can embody a paragon of my people, which means I get access to powers of darkness from any playbook, temporarily or permanently, depending on how much ruin I pick up. So, sorry, Packet, you mentioned something in chat about marking.
You will mark a ruin when the two of you bind together, both of you mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So that was that one ruin or more?
One.
Yeah, it's just one.
So we're going to return back. The helicopter has arrived and has taken you back. We kind of don't see the travel scene, but we're back in the Gothenburg division base, one of the lower floors. Again, the museum above that people sometimes work at, the sort of darker museum down below of artifacts, and then even further several levels below, and even, a more atrocity archive, dark chamber set of things in the very, very basement here. And I'd like to kind of do just a brief moment with individuals talking with your handler following the mission, kind of checking in and seeing, and let me see if I can find my notes on how we described her. Go back to here. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have down. Does anyone recall? I can't remember if we have a name for our handler. In the heat of things, I didn't write it down. My impression was of a slightly older woman, perhaps with some military background, a human, who's kind of on the in between the monsters and then the upper division. So I will give her a name. Her name is Miss Boriska. And you've given your individual reports at this point. We won't go dwell on what those are. Egther, in your report, did you mention finding those papers that indicated a program of a planned elimination?
I did not.
Okay. And so Ms. Boriska will stop at some point and says, so it was mentioned in one of the reports something about an Operation Ragnarok. Was this the shutdown for the facility? I wasn't quite clear from the statements that people had given Egther. I know you had been in the facility previously.
I saw a mention of, I believe it was on one of these computer terminals. Someone had entered an order to execute Operation Ragnarok, or the Ragnarok Directive, or whatever it was called.
So we have very little sense of what was going on at 0001 prior to the collapse. We have the testimonies from you and the others back from when that happened those decades ago, but so much of what was being worked on there was isolated because of its defenses. So we don't have very good records on that. Was it hard going back there? Another place where you've had to leave and people had been destroyed?
Um, I think we're sitting at some kind of table, right? Like, and I think this is where when I put my arm on the table with a missing hand. uh, it was hard for many reasons, but I have older and deeper memories that carry greater weight than anything tied to that facility.
Do you think that's going to regrow?
I think he kind of strokes the arm, and we'll see. I will have to consult my memories. There may be something I no longer remember that I remember.
Is there anything else you want to tell me about what went on that maybe you overlooked or didn't mention in your report?
The people responsible for that facility failed in their duties in many ways. They invited a danger that nearly destroyed the facility, and perhaps would have devastated much beyond that. And from what little I could see of what work had been done there, it was inconsistent and not focused on what should be division's main responsibility.
It was a different time. Division has changed over the years, and I hope that we have evolved in our approach. But your point is taken, and I will make a note. It's always good to have that kind of commentary on record. Thank you, Edgar. Lissa.
Yes.
So what was it that caused you to attack your contact when they were attempting to exit?
Attack is it's a strong word. Attack was not my intent.
You
My
used your
powers
powers that you have some control, but as you would admit, not great control over. You used it to throw someone from a great height down to the ground.
I mean, great height is kind of an exaggeration. Look,
You keep saying things like you want to mitigate, like you want to excuse, like you don't think it is anything big that happened. Do you think it wasn't anything big? Because from where I'm sitting, we have an unprovoked assault on a fellow agent who was carrying out their duties on the mission.
I don't know. I didn't want him to leave. I had more questions. I fucked up.
Okay. that's kind of what I wanted to hear you say. Are you sorry that it happened?
Absolutely. I don't want to hurt agents. I felt horrible about it when I saw the damage that had resulted. I mean, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt agents, people.
I need you to hang on 1 second here. She says, sorry, I have to take a call. I apologize, Lisa. I need you to carry that feeling when you go out next. Division wants to help you, and you said you wanted a chance to go out into the field to utilize your powers to try and gain control of them. And I want to support you in that. But I need to know that you're going to be careful with this. Like, now here's the thing is, I understand. I've seen the reports on your powers. I know what can potentially happen. And I know there are going to come circumstances where you are going to have to use that to fight a harbinger or to fight other unpleasant forces, and you're going to cause damage. That's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. I am talking about you being careful about using your powers as an emotional reaction.
I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is that if I use my powers as an emotional reaction, it has to be against entities that deserve it, like harbingers.
I'm saying you need to use them to serve the ends of the mission and not hurt those who are trying to help you or those you need to protect. I mean, here's the thing. This was a small mission, but a dangerous one. Egther walked away with a hand missing.
Is Gormel okay?
So far as we can tell. I'm not going to take you off field duty, but I do want you to work some more with the therapist and work some more on your training.
I don't want to make things worse, so I'd like to apologize to Gormel, but I also don't want to show up if Gormel's not ready or doesn't want to hear it.
Gormel is not at the facility. The kinds of treatment that are necessary are not available here. When his wings have been restored, we'll see about giving you a chance to speak with him face to face.
I'd appreciate that, but I also don't want to push it just because.
We'll check on that. We'll see how you're doing later.
All right. Thank you, Miss Bariska.
Weeper. Miss Bariska says, I kind of don't understand your report. There was another god? But then there was this other, like, I'm trying to follow what you're telling me about what this foe was.
The foe was a demon who wished to harness God's power.
And that was what the door was opening to?
The door was a doorway to God. And we've all read the Bible. It is the end of days when God walks upon the earth.
How are you doing in light of that and in light of your background and your goals?
I'm doing fine because I could always be reset and start all over again. So, yes, I was lucky to get out. But if I hadn't, I'm sure there'd have been a new weeper following me up.
What do you mean a new weeper?
I saw papers in there. I'm not the first weeper, I'm sure, because I've been there before.
You see, she looks surprised, and she said, I got the sense from Egther that there was some real bullshit going on there. Would you concur?
Hard to say because that was my first experience. But I've got a sense that I'd been there before anyway. So maybe I had spent some time at 0001. But there were definitely designs on how to make more of me and possibly more of others.
She tries not to visibly wince at the thought of that, but there is a moment of that. She will say, Mr. St. Vincent, who runs the holy weaponry section, would like to have a chance to talk with you about
the failures and successes of the weapons.
Yes. So if you have a chance, go down and talk with him. I know he's very interested in getting a field report from you.
That will be no problems at all. Maybe it was my lack of faith why they didn't activate.
That's generous of you to say.
No problem.
Suriel, when you give your briefing, there is a second person in the room seated there next to Miss Bariska. This is a neutralizer. And Miss Bariska says, so you had some strong words about Lissa throughout your report.
Yes. And I want to take this opportunity to accept responsibility for what I did wrong.
And what did you do wrong?
The report's not entirely accurate, Briska. Lissa lost it with Goromel because of me.
She certainly didn't lay the blame on you when we spoke with her.
Well, I mean, she wouldn't. But I wound her up from the moment we met at the helicopter. I pushed her further than I should have done.
Is this the whole thing about not getting the briefing that I saw mentioned?
There's some of that. And so, you know, I hope that you didn't go overboard with Lissa, because, you know, if you should go overboard with anyone, it should be me.
No, I think that her reaction, and as I said to her, demonstrates her need to develop further emotional control, and that's certainly what I spoke to her about. But let's talk about you.
Yes, ma'am.
You are a prince of lies, a manipulator, a twister of emotions, a shit stirrer of legendary proportions.
And at this point, I look at the neutralizer, look back. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to ask you to maybe dial it back with your compatriots.
I will do my very best, but there's just something in me. You know, sometimes Godhead's difficult to argue with.
Are you saying that you're not strong enough to control yourself?
I'm saying that sometimes I don't try hard enough, ma'am.
She laughs.
But if there is anything I can do to try and make things right, you know, particularly with Goromel, because I feel really bad about what happened to him because of my actions.
Gormel certainly expressed that he would like to talk with you when he returns from rehabilitation.
Happy to, ma'am.
He certainly spoke highly of you in this.
Oh, I'm sure I don't deserve that.
Almost worshipful in his description of your.
You'll notice in the report, ma'am, I made nothing of that. You know, I helped him get out because I thought that was the right thing to do. I thought that's what an agent should do.
Just don't wind them quite so tight on the next mission.
I hear that.
All right. Well, I've looked at the other handlers' notes, and I'm not sure what else I can say to you that will have any effect over the long term, given who you are. But I hope that we're on the same page.
Oh, absolutely. I think the kind of relationship that you and I can have can be a whole new page.
Get out.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Egther, you return injured. You go to the medical facility there, you know, where they have first aid kits and you know, defibrillators and ancient tomes and vials of demon's tears and things, and there's lots of discussion about that, and they will say, do you want a prosthesis? Do you want to have one of the dwarves forge a cover for it? Do you want to just leave the stump exposed? What is it that you want to do with that, Egther? We could build you a hook. Somebody suggested that. I was very excited about that thought.
Kind of look at the stump and just cover it up. That'll be enough.
All right, all right. We'll get you some fittings for that, just to help out with it. I understand that you're resistant to infection, so we don't have to worry about that. And yeah, they'll clean you up as best they can and make some notes. You see like the disappointed dwarf in the corner kind of goes back down to the forges. You have time now. You're back at the base at Division. I'd like to give you a chance to call a scene with a fellow PC or two, with an existing NPC or a new NPC. Like, who do you want to have a scene with? What kind of person? What do you want to do?
I have an idea for a scene.
Okay.
I think it's late, maybe not, it's around midnight, and Egther is in his quarters. I think I described them before as being quite large, bare stone floor, lots of books, some bookcases, but then piles of books everywhere. And he's sitting in this oversized chair that he somehow looks small in and still feels out. and he's reading a book, and he's flipping impatiently, and he keeps having to use his stump to flip the pages, and he grows impatient, and he kind of tosses the book and picks up another, and repeats this process several times. And his wolf Garm is down there and kind of trying to comfort him, but he's just growing impatient. He starts to pace, and it's clear that he's kind of crouching in a way that he feels confined in his quarters. And I think he goes out and knocks on Lissa's door.
Lissa, it's evening hours here at Division HQ. You're in your room when there's a knock, and I think that given Egther's presence, I think it's pretty clear who's knocking just from the sound of it.
Yeah, I'm just laying on my bed, staring at the ceiling. It's like, yeah, come on in, Egther.
Yeah, Egther opens the door, and he kind of dithers in the doorway a little bit before like hunching down to get inside. And he closes the door behind him, and he stands. He goes to, I assume you have like a separate bedroom. So he'll go into the doorway. He won't go past the threshold into your bedroom.
It's probably just a screen set up, even if
okay.
that. You know, I can't imagine like terribly fancy quarters.
Yeah, then I think he steps up to the screen, and he's looking over it. And he takes a while for him to gather his thoughts. And I think what he says is, Lissa, do you fear your power?
You know, fearing my power is kind of like fearing death. It's inevitable. It's something that I can't change. I just have to deal with it. You know, am I afraid of it? The only thing that I'm afraid of is losing control of it and inadvertently harming people who are completely outside of all of this. You know, like if I went to get coffee, like out in the world, and I sneezed and opened up a black hole in the middle of a coffee shop, that's the sort of thing that's why I'm here. Everybody here is kind of signed on for it, I guess. You know, we all take risks every day, and some of them are from each other.
You fear causing inadvertent harm through loss of control.
Yeah, but mostly to innocents, the people who aren't agents or harbingers or people who are in our world. I mean, I know sometimes that's going to be inevitable. Like, if there's, a demon at a diner or something like that we have to take out. But I just want to minimize it,
Yes. the exercise of power always has consequences.
And I'll sit up. And I've been laying on the covers. You know, I'm fully clothed. I want to light a cigarette and, you know, offer you one.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it.
And I think I would like to try to reveal my heart here.
Ooh,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's
Yeah, I
take a look
completely
at that.
forgot about moves.
Yeah, these are purely optional in this situation. How many darkness tokens do you want to spend,
That's a
Lissa?
good question. Let me scroll back over and check here. You know what? I'll go ahead and spend all 3.
Okay.
I will get down to 0 for the first time since we started this game. So there's 2d6 plus 3. Oh, that's 12.
That is a 12. So on 11 plus, you have a moment of closeness, but also weakness. You're going to ask each other, how do I scare you at this moment? So Lissa let's have that put to Egther. So Egther, how does Lissa scare you in this moment?
I think what scares me, and this is from my perspective as someone who is definitely not human, what scares me is that she still sees herself as part of humanity, even though she's clearly something different, and that may cause her to act. That may push her towards an emotional engagement that can lead to dangerous actions. She may cause damage because of her emotional attachment. Yeah.
Okay. And Lissa, how does Egther scare you?
I think it's largely just because of how calm he is about the injury. Like, this isn't even a thing. Like, he's not even, like, he's just wandering around with this bandaged stump. No big. You know, replacement? Maybe. You know, we're used to getting hurt, but to see him take to see him take something like that so passively. Like, I would expect to see anger or regret or, you know, so some kind of emotional response to it, and there's just nothing.
I imagine we get maybe an inset flashback, silent, to Egther jamming his stump into the mouth of that thing repeatedly to choke it to death.
Now, a quick question.
Yeah.
With that reveal my heart, do you think that me talking about my powers and feeling like I could lose control of them is sufficient is the equivalent of telling Egther how I could destroy him?
What is that question in the context of?
The move that I took, like a moth to the flame. When you reveal your heart to someone, you may first tell them how you could destroy them. If you do, choose one from below, even on a miss.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. So that allows me to either leave a permanent mark on their body or soul, marking them as mine, which could tie in with that covenant if you want. I can ask you which part of you wish I would destroy, and you can gain a bond with me. Or I can ask the keeper what the darkness whispers about you, and I can gain with a bond with what the darkness demands. So, Anders, which one of those would you prefer?
The middle one is the one I don't have a good answer for right now. So either either one you want to pick of the other two.
Okay. I think I'll stand up and walk over to you and just kind of run my hand across your cheek and say, I feel like you're the one person here who never gives up on me. Who you always push me to do better. Even when I lose it, even when I wreck a bunch of stuff. You're so calm about everything. That kind of scares me sometimes. But I'm glad you're here. And as I run my finger across your cheek, a little bit of that cosmic energy kind of sparks out. And completely unintentionally, and it kind of looks like freckles, but it's the map of that constellation that we saw back in the base.
Ooh,
Nice. So, Lissa, go ahead and mark a bond with Egther. And I want to resolve the other part of that move, and then I want to come to Weeper. So the other part of that move is you get to choose how fearful you become of them, and on a scale of 0 to 4, and that resets their darkness tokens, or you can gain a bond with what the darkness demands of you. So, Lissa, which of those two do you want?
Well, my darkness tokens are already at 0. So I'll take a
Well,
bond with
it's resetting him. You're resetting his.
Oh, okay. I think gain a bond with what the darkness demands.
Okay. The darkness tells you that now you have him in the palm of your hand, and it would be so easy to manipulate him to destroy him. And Egther, you get to also make that same choice. How fearful you become of Lissa, and set their darkness tokens, or gain a bond with what the darkness demands of you.
I'm going to pick the first one, and I'm trying to. It's a 3 or a 4 because of the way. Because her touch, it touches me deeply, and that also scares me. It scares me that she has emotional power over me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a 3. I'm not
Okay.
terrified, but I am frightened.
So Lissa, set your darkness tokens to 3. I'm going to cut from that, like the freeze of Lissa touching your cheek. Weeper, well, let's have you call a scene. Who do you want to talk to? Another PC or an NPC, or what do we want to do?
Let's go with St. Vincent.
Okay. Tell me about St. Vincent. Like, are they a human? Are they a monster?
If they're dealing with holy relics, they got to be from the Vatican.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are a papal emissary to the division, and they on the special.
Let's mix them up with a monster as well. Who was the 2000 AD TM papal emissary? Vampire. Yes. So they're a monster from the Vatican.
Monster from the Vatican. So this is a vampire, and I think given their presence around the holy relics and things, they cannot disguise their monstrousness. Like, it is always constantly revealed, and yet they're still in the papal robes, and everything, and they talk. They're changed enough that they actually have attached a voice box. So their voice kind of comes out of a synthesizer, and you get the "Bless you, my son." I'm not going to do that
Father.
voice, but
you are not rich, lol. You are not rich.
No, I can't do rich. I don't. I also don't have the synthesizer voice box tool set. And
Forgive me, Father.
I've read your report, Weeper. It seems that in one case there was a great success, but in the other there was a failing.
Indeed, the success was against a monster of darkness, against the church. Maybe that's why they worked. The first time, I feel maybe my faith was not strong enough and they did not activate.
What did happen?
That's a very good question.
Like, does Weeper remember? And certainly, if Paul doesn't remember, the Weeper can also have it wiped from their mind.
Yeah, I'm not very too sure what did happen. It definitely caused, as if it reverberated through me.
One of the others described you as falling to your knees and weeping.
I definitely suffered pain. And again, I think that was linked to a crisis of faith. Maybe I felt very lonely afterwards.
What brought on the crisis, my son?
I have a feeling that I will not be able to ever get into heaven.
No, that is not the plan that the Lord has for you.
But only people can get into heaven. I believe I am a collection of worms, and no animal can reach heaven, Father.
You are a soul. You have a human soul. It lies within you. Whatever your form, and he raises up his sort of, the horrible wing hand, man bat stuff, and says, I have to believe that we who do not bear a human shape, a human guise, are still granted God's mercy. We have a task, a difficult task.
Indeed, people like us are here to suffer, to toil. You have definitely given me something to ponder, because I did indeed have a conflict of faith, Father. I believe. I will try harder in future with my faith.
Well, I am not qualified to give you confession, but I think you should take advantage of that here before you head out on another mission to unburden yourself. I find it a cleansing thing when I do it, despite the burning sensation.
I have not reached that level yet, Father, but definitely that is good advice. And who am I not to heed the words of the Pope himself? So it shall be done, Father.
And he will give you a blessing as you leave. Suriel, what about you?
I think I will try to find Egtha.
I imagine let's say it's perhaps the next day where Egtha is maybe still kind of chewing on that interaction with Lissa. Egtha, where does Suriel find you in the facility? In your rooms or somewhere else?
I think I'm mostly sticking to my rooms, so probably that.
Yeah. You look around his usual haunts, he's not there, and you'll head down there, Suriel.
and take him a plate of lunch from the cafeteria. And don't knock on the door, just go in. I brought lunch.
And he's back in his chair trying to read something. Slams the book together. Ah, yes, perhaps I should eat something.
How's the gestures at the wrist?
Still there? What's left of it?
Do you want me to fix it?
Ooh. 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 If it's not too much of a bother, it's interfering with my reading.
And I think I'm going to try the same thing I tried with Goromel, which is to lay enough fey glamour on it so he believes it's still there.
All right. I think this is power through darkness.
Yeah, I'll go with that. And I will spend
Devlin Waugh was the name of the vampire. That's painful.
I will spend the only darkness token I have.
Okay.
And that gives me a 10.
Gives you a 10. You use your powers with great precision and effect, changing the situation before you. And Egther, I think there's a moment when you're old, you're ancient. I think there's a bit of you that knows that it's not quite real, but knows that it's real enough that the glamour can turn pages. It can do like it can have the illusion of having the hand there enough that it will hold, but it feels real. It's like the phantom limb kind of becomes manifest there. And sir, I think the simplest thing is to give you a bond with Egther there as your golden opportunity there.
Yeah, and I really, that's just my opening really, because I just wondered how debrief went.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last one.
How did debrief go?
Oh, they asked questions and questions upon questions.
And did Lissa say how it had gone?
We have not spoken on this topic.
Okay. Because I tried to, don't tell her this, but I tried to take some of the pressure off, after the Goromel thing.
That was probably wise, given her emotional state.
And yeah, and she wouldn't know. She wouldn't want to know, would she, that I'd, taken some of the load? Would she?
Ooh. I need to look at this bond thing. Oh. I think I believe she would appreciate the honesty, but perhaps not in the near future.
Oh yeah. I mean, whatever you do, Egther, don't mention what I did, okay?
I will not.
No, I mean it. I mean it.
Yes,
Okay.
I understand your words.
Okay. Well, enjoy your lunch. Bye.
You're muted, Lord.
Let's cut there. Let's take our first break. We'll take 10. When we come back, I want to give Lissa a chance to call a scene, do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to set up for the next mystery. Sound good? Okay. So take 10. So Lissa, I'd like to give you a chance to call a scene, either with an NPC or a PC or something else. What would you like to do?
Well, you mentioned counseling earlier.
Okay. So who is the counselor? Human, monstrous, something else?
Ooh, there's a mention of the orphanage in the division moves.
Okay.
And I have a sneaking suspicion it's a human who was in the orphanage because they were thought to have abilities, and then it turned out that they didn't. They fizzled or lost them somehow. And this is how they continue to serve division.
And I think we get kind of a very classic, maybe late 30 something, technically trained, but has been to the division, gentleman who tries to look like the cool teacher, a little loose tie and a jacket over the back of his chair. And he says, do you think that some of this was Surreal's fault?
I mean,
it certainly
it's my
sounds
power.
like the two of you went at it a couple of times during the mission. Certainly, I'm seeing that from the parts of the report I was able to see.
I mean, Surreal's an asshole, but we all have to deal with assholes, right? I mean, asshole coworkers are just they're a thing out in the real world, right? I mean, so they're a thing here too. It's just that, our asshole coworkers have the ability to snuff out suns or to command worship or whatever. But that doesn't mean, even if he was being an asshole, that doesn't absolve me. I'm the one who did it.
I noticed when you gave examples of asshole coworkers, the first one you mentioned was your powers. Why do you think that comes to mind first?
You remember when you were in the orphanage and you'd wake up in the middle of the night? I don't know, maybe this is just me. I remember when I was younger, I used to wake up in the middle of the night and I'd just be terrified of the enormity of everything. I'm not even a speck in the universe. And then all of a sudden, I can create stars and black holes and alter gravitational fields and poles, and I'm still just a speck, but I'm a speck that has just unfathomable power that I kind of have a handle on, but am I an asshole coworker? I try not to be. I really do. But you know, when you're dealing with asshole coworkers, sometimes you have to be an asshole to deal with them. You know, you got to draw a line in the sand, as it were. You got to say, these are my boundaries. This is how far you can go here, but no further, right? Like, but
Yeah, absolutely. You have to establish your boundaries for yourself and for others.
my boundary setting skills could use some help, some
Yeah,
fine tuning, some work. Because I don't want to set a boundary that, you know, inadvertently sucks the earth into a black hole.
Well, let me come back to something. We're talking about boundaries and coworkers. You said that what you did to Goromel, you did because you had more questions for him. That seems like a kind of a cop-out. Why do you think you did that? Why do you think your emotions pushed you to do that to him? What was going on?
Okay, so before I say this, I just want to stress I'm not trying to shake the blame or blame anybody else. Okay.
No, I'm trying to get at the root of what happened to you and how that made you feel such that you did that.
So when we're out in the field, Surreal always tries to take control of everything, telling people where to go, when they can go, when we're finished with them, etc. He did the same thing with Gormel. And I had more questions. I overreacted. I used my powers and lost control of them. I hurt someone else. All of that is true. I'm not trying to shirk responsibility for any of that. But
so was it that you were trying to show Surreal that you had your own authority? Or was it that you were feeling envious of the control that Surreal had over Gormel? Or something else?
oh God, that's just
because to me it seems like you reacted and kicked back against authority
it.
as an emotional reaction.
Doc, do you know what it's like to be an agent without agency? Oh God, my life is fucked up.
Do you think you should be cleared to go back into the field?
What else are you going to do with me?
That's not an answer. Do you think you should be cleared to go back into the field?
I really want to say no. Because if I say no, If I say no, it'd be a lot. But it'd
Okay.
allow me to sidestep a whole bunch of bullshit I just don't want to deal with.
Yeah, you're very good at avoiding responsibility and things. I think you need to go. Let me stop you there. I think you know to go out into the field again. But I think you need to do a long, hard assessment when you're done with this about what you want. Okay?
Yeah. Thanks, Doc.
You're welcome. Just count to 10. And I'm going to cut there on that sort of end of bit, psychological bit. And it is fairly early in the day. We're in mid-morning there in Gothenburg when you get the text or signal or however based on communicators for the four of you to come down to the mission ready room. And you'll roll down there and Miss Bariska is there. St. Vincent is actually there off to the side, seated. And Miss Bariska says, we have a situation that we need to send you into. And I'm going to copy the briefing text and then I'm going to kind of read it to you so you have it out loud here. See if I can get that. There we go. Since we have reason to believe that a string of supernatural deaths, possibly murders, we're uncertain, taking place around Saint Renata University in Barcelona, indicate the presence of a harbinger and a door of power. So over the last 4 days, 3 bodies have turned up, each time making a conventional forensic examination possible because within a short time span after discovery, the bodies turned into essentially a pile of flower petals. This situation is complicated by the fact that Saint Renata also houses a returner treatment facility. As you may know from your briefings before, returners are persons who escaped kidnapping and captivity by supernatural forces. One of the 3 victims was a returner who had been undergoing treatment at the facility on campus. So Division has a good working relationship with the liberal elements of the Spanish government. And then she'll gesture over, and we have been called in by church authorities. This is a Catholic university. They have given us permission. The authorities have given us permission to send agents in. I want you to also note that the university is currently holding an arts festival. So an effort should be made to cause minimum disruption or attention, if possible. We want you to go in, discover what is going on with these deaths, protect the returners, locate the harbinger, and stop them from opening a door of power. You'll see a copy of your briefing in the file notes under tab Briefing M2 in your update. Let me ask Egther, I think he's going to be the one for this. You did a operation in Barcelona in the past. Like, when was that, and did it go well? Did it go badly? What happened?
Ooh, I think this was quite a while ago, like in the 60s.
Okay, so under the Franco regime.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we achieved we successfully completed the mission, but there was some friction with the fascists, with the government
Mm-hmm.
forces.
Maybe a little bit of collateral damage there.
Perhaps.
Uh, uh Lissa, uh you haven't been on the division teams long, but on one of your first missions, you failed to save a returner. What happened with that? What went on?
The returner was a plant
Ooh.
intentionally released by the Harbinger after being powered. It was a trap. And there was quite a bit of, as you say, collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first times that I lost control.
Do you feel guilty about the death of the returner, or do you blame them for like being a pawn?
Why would I? I mean, by all accounts, they were just a normal person trying to go about their lives. And, Harbinger grabbed them and powered them up and set them loose. It wasn't really much different than a police department trying to defuse a bomb. Sometimes things have to get blown up to deal with them. Sometimes you can't disarm them.
Ms. Bariska will say, I'm going to give you a few other names that you need to know. Your contact on the ground is Natalie H. You may remember her. She used to be an oracle, someone with visionary powers. Lost them. She worked alongside us and lost them during an incident. So no longer has those, but has been a person on the ground in Spain who can help us out. It is important that Natalie not be put into any kind of dangerous situation, because well, there are various reasons, and the kind of Bariska kind of stops. Surreal, you've worked with Natalie before. You've been around for a while. You did a mission where she operated as a contact, and you know that she's relieved to have lost that sort of foresight and fortune telling and vision powers. But you're good at getting things out of people. You're good at drawing out stuff. And she did reveal to you a vision that she kind of still has from time to time, that haunts her, that repeats. What is that vision?
I think a vision of an overgrown cityscape.
Like plants and a city gone to wild. Okay. I like that very much. They will pop up a map of the university. If you've seen Barcelona, you know that Barcelona has those sort of super block setups in portions of the city, and then a general. This particular university is a more recent setup definitely in the latter half of the 20th century, built on some old church properties. It's actually split across two parts that kind of face one another with quads on either one, sort of open green spaces. They have a library. They have theaters. They have a cathedral, and they've got an underground walkway that connects the two sides of the university there. So imagine it like mostly 4-story buildings that are all kind of connected together to form this fairly tight campus. Most of the students live off campus. There is a dormitory for the seminary that they have there. She'll say, so Natalie H. is your contact. Father Oscar Murata is going to be your church contact on the ground. Father Murata is the person who is in charge of the returner program, who's a therapist, trained psychiatrist, who's working with them. They still have 3 returners left from what I have to understand. And then the provost named Celares. She's chancellor, Chancellor Celares. She will be your university contact and liaison. Are there any questions? Yes, Cyril.
If I could just ask a question, please.
Yes.
Are all the people who've been killed, are they all returners?
No, only the last victim was a returner. The first victim found 4 days ago seems to be a student. Natalie will give you more details, but I'll give you an outline here. 4 days ago is a student. 2 days ago, a guest at the arts festival, a film director, was killed. And then yesterday was one of the returners, Carlos Sastre Luis.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Any other questions? Egther, Weeper, Lissa? All right. It's about a hot 3-hour flight from here to Barcelona. We're going to get you out to the airport as fast as possible. So if you'll head up, we've got a fake ambulance upstairs to drive you to the airport. Sirens on. Hopefully that'll get you to early afternoon, just about lunchtime in Barcelona. And she'll pause. I know that a number of you have operated in this area before, but recognize that while this is in Spain, this is the capital of Catalan. So you've got some tensions there, and you may encounter a couple of different languages. Just be aware of that, and that can be a point of friction to be aware of. And then you all will roll out as you go to leave Weeper. It is your St. Vincent comes over and says, when the church contacted me about this and asked, I suggested that you and your team should go, I think, given your experience with church matters.
Of course, St. Vincent. Your wish is my command.
Ah.
It shall be done.
May God go with you.
Thank you. The relics, St. Vincent?
Absolutely.
Have you prepared a good selection?
Yes, there's a duffel bag of holy weapons in the back of the ambulance for you.
Superb. Thank you, St. Vincent.
Do you, like, is there anything you do? You have just a little bit of time to scramble, like Egther? Do you just head down to the ambulance, or do you get stuff together, or what do we see you do?
I take Garm, my wolf, like take him and like put my head against his, and then I tell him I tell him where we're going in a way that he understands, and I tell him, run, and we will meet there. And
Absolutely. And I imagine that he's a wolf of the north wind, so we probably see him like run out and turn vaporous and leap into the air, and then we don't see him. Liz, is there anything you do before you get ready?
No, I just head down to the ambulance and sit there quietly.
Okay.
And wait.
Got your little go bag ready. Suriel, what about you? You're muted.
You are muted.
We haven't seen Serial's apartment yet, have we? And so
No.
I think we'll kind of have this shot drifting across a wall of televisions, all playing news, current affairs, interview, soap opera, evangelists, all and with I think a cool version of the girl from Ipanema playing in the background. And we see Cyril just, in front of a closet full of exactly the same suits
Okay.
as the one he's wearing, carefully selecting his suit.
You getting packed up, ready? Weeper, do we see anything of your preparations? Do you go offer a prayer, or do we see you down at the ambulance looking through the bag, or what?
I think you see Weeper before he gets on the ambulance. He's down on one knee, having a prayer with a rosary in his hand, cursing God.
So we will see the four of you load up, and then there's the shots of the out into this is autumn in Gothenburg, and the ambulance sirens going off and peeling through traffic, arriving at an airport. Ambulance rolls out onto tarmac. You're loaded quickly onto a cargo plane that takes off, and we see you kind of follow the sun, and then it goes from sort of that cold Swedish atmosphere, perhaps. Maybe somebody's done some color correction to make it look colder, like a Nordic mystery, so they get that effect really, really heavy. But then, of course, they turn the saturation up to 11, and we get the shot of Barcelona. We get the Gaudi Cathedral as a cross shot of that. We see the ocean, and the beaches there, and it's October, like early October, so it's after the peak tourist season, and we will see the plane touch down, and you will roll out onto the tarmac, and you'll be met by Natalie. I've got a picture of her. I'm going to grab that and put that in the NPC tab. Let me find my way to that folder. That's not the folder. If I'd had my wits about me, I would have already have queued it up to there.
Really quickly, as Paul pointed out in side chat, should we select XP triggers now?
Oh, good point. Yeah, let's go through and do that. Now that you kind of know what the dynamics of the mystery are, let's go around and check on that. So, Paul, what do you want to have for your XP trigger?
I would like to go with, did you give a human the gift of your hunger? Now, I don't think there's a mechanical way to transfer hunger sort of thing. So I'm reading that as feed on somebody, is it?
Feed on someone or show them what your hunger is like. I think it can be both a literal thing and a metaphorical thing, depending on how you want to frame that.
Fair one. That's what I've gone for.
Okay. Puckett, what about for you?
Ooh, you know, I'm going to stick with letting go and causing collateral damage. Why stop now?
Once again, go back to the well you like. I think that's fair. Though I am going to push you at some point to change that, but I think that's fair. Egther, what about you?
I actually picked one at the start of the session. I was kind of angling for with my scene with Lissa. Did you allow yourself to find hope in the arms of another monster?
Oh yeah, I think you've definitely already hope and fear, both of those there. And what about for you, Suriel?
Yes. Likewise, I chose at the beginning. Did you secretly humiliate yourself for the intimacy you crave?
I like that. Natalie is there. She's in her early 50s, perhaps, but kind of a little worn by age. She has those kinds of wrist crutches that she uses to move around, and she will greet you warmly, Suriel. And she says, Suriel, do you want to introduce your colleagues? I don't believe I've met any of them.
I would love to, Nat. This is Egther. Egther, say hello. Tell Nat something about yourself.
Sorry, he always puts people on the spot. At least that's been my experience.
Nat and I go back a long way. You can say anything with her.
I am pleased to be back in this part of the world. The warmth thaws my bones.
He's a real charmer, Nat.
And
Lissa, meet Nat. Nat, Lissa.
hello, young lady.
Hi there. Hi.
Hello.
I'll try not to do anything. I'll try to leave the city in one piece, more or less.
Well, that's ominous.
It's a long story, but it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And
Whisper to Nat, I know you haven't finished our cathedral, but seriously, there's a risk. And
don't say those things to me.
Weeper, Nat, Weeper.
I'm going to be horrendously petty and say, Mr. Weeper, if you don't mind. I will gain 2 tokens for that. And I will actually turn to face Natalie and Suriel and say, I already know of Natalie. We have met before. And I would like to use the move that I recently picked. Okay. I remember the taste of you.
Ooh.
Basically, I've fed upon countless victims in my existence. Somewhere inside of you, their remnants merged to become a unique consciousness. This alien horror living under my skin will one day consume me in turn. When I first encounter a named NPC, faction, or monster, you may declare that the remnants within you recognize them. When you do so, spend darkness tokens and roll. I would like to spend the 2 I just gained by being petty and see what we get. 9, 10, 11, slight overkill.
Okay.
Not terrible though, this one. On 11 plus, the sight of them drives the remnants within you into frenzy. Choose one.
Let me tell you what you know about her.
Okay.
Before you make that choice. I think that you were present on the mission that cost her psychic powers, and that you fed on her. And then when the Harbinger was destroyed, a portion of the Harbinger rested in her soul and is stuck there. And when she dies, the Harbinger is going to be reborn. So she's trapped with that. That's what destroyed her powers. And it's why she's wearing the equivalent of a Division First Alert bracelet and a whole set of warding spells, such that when she does pass away, they will have a team on site to handle the disposal as soon as possible.
Okay.
She'll look at you and she says, I am familiar with Mr. Weeper.
Yes, we had some accidents in the past. Let me offer you some recompense, and I will pull off my hand and say, I took from you a long time ago something. Here, have something back.
She will take it, not disgustedly, but she will say, I will use this to bolster my defenses.
Do as it if you will. It is payment. And I
Not
would like to mark
payment enough, she says, but you will gain a bond with her.
Excellent.
And she's going to give you the general outline of what has happened as you are riding over. She'll say, we're going to go over on the side of the campus that has the church. We'll meet up with Father Murata and the chancellor. There are a lot of people moving back and forth between the two halves. Some of you can blend in pretty well as you need to. Here is the deal. 4 days ago, a security guard doing a sweep in the early hours of the morning came down into the underground walkway that connects the two halves of the university. He found a body. Called for security backup. A couple of students who were passing through the tunnel, through the walkway, were able to identify it as a student by the name of Adam Tudela. The security guard took some photos, but by the time university officials and church officials had arrived, but before the Guardia Civil had arrived, the body turned into flower petals. There's no video of this. They didn't think to do that, but they have before and after pictures. And she'll send that to your phone.
It turned into petals on site where the body was found?
Exactly. It disintegrated, rotted, turned into this pile of flower petals.
And that was in the underground tunnel.
That's correct. They hadn't even had a chance to move the body. It was not long after the discovery. That was 4 days ago. The university officials put it down as a prank. That's what they told the police that had come. And they could tell that something unusual had happened, especially since this Adam Tudela never showed back up. That was 4 days ago. 2 days ago, the campus art festival began. One of the guests is a indie film director by the name of Salvador Ordonez. You can look up more on him if you need to. He was at an evening meet and greet. He met with some people there. Some of the campus students who were escorting people offered to get him back to his rooms, but he said he knew the campus and he headed out. And just before 2 a.m., his body was found just under the stone awning of the library. And once again, the body disintegrated. There are some more photos of it at that point, and some students did get some photographs, and those have gotten out, but we still have control of the story. It's just a strange thing that people are talking about.
And the body disintegrated again at the scene.
At the scene into flower petals. The next evening, while apparently church officials and university officials were discussing the situation, the third body showed up. That is Carlos Sastre Luis. He is one of the returners from the Institute, a young man who was trapped in another world and was having difficulties readjusting. He was found just inside the doors of the Cathedral of the Blessed Cross on campus. And again, shortly after discovery, the body turned into flower petals.
About this turning into flower petals, was it the same period of time between the body being discovered and turning into flower petals each time?
She says approximately, but no one has a exact timing on it. That was certainly a question that was asked. It was certainly we're guessing, within 20, 30 minutes of the bodies being discovered.
Do you have any idea how long after death the bodies disintegrated, besides after them being discovered?
No, we don't have a time of death. We don't have any good solid forensics on this. Sorry, I wish I had better news for you. And you'll hear the sound of like the noise and the traffic and people outside, and then we see your van going in kind of a side way up to one of the buildings there, and essentially end up by the side door of the cathedral, and they will unload you into that to meet with the school officials.
Can I just check in? Did you say 4 victims or 3? Because
3 victims.
3 victims. Fine.
3 victims.
I'll
4 days
delete
ago. Yeah, 4 days ago,
Fine.
2 days ago, 1 day ago.
Fine. I'll delete the 4th victim for now.
For now. Let's take our second break here. And when we come back, we'll do a little bit of briefing. You're getting a lot of info load, and so if we need me to repeat stuff or go over things, we can do that. But before we take a break, I do want to talk about this. So this is a little more conventional mystery. We're still using the apocalypse keys thing for determining thing, but we've got NPCs, we've got locations. This is a mystery for you to go out. Last time it was very directed, going down the line. This is definitely pitched a little more classic mystery thing, just so you have that in mind in terms of play style. So let's take 5. So this is a fairly nice cathedral. You can tell that it's kind of been rebuilt from bombings back early part of the 20th century. And built on older foundations. This is like at least some of the base of this church is very old, and you'll be taken back into I don't know if it's a vestry. I'm not a churchy person, but you'll be taken into the area in the back of the church where the priest is at. Natalie will introduce you to the chancellor, and we have a picture of her in the thing there. Chancellor Solares. She is she seems very pleased to have you here. Like, relieved that there's someone here who is going to be able to do something potentially. And doesn't seem to have any negative reaction, even to those of you who, like Egther, once you start interacting with, she realizes that you are not entirely natural. But then the other person there is Father Murata. He seems definitively less pleased to see you all, but he doesn't express that verbally. And Chancellor Solaris will say, "I'm glad that your agency could dispatch all of you so quickly. I'll try to answer questions as I have them. If you need guides around the university, I or one of my staff can do that, or I don't know how you operate. If you need to operate on your own, we can make arrangements on that. The Arts Festival is very important, a very public thing, very important thing for the university. So I don't mean to sound like the person from Jaws at the beaches, but like I hope that we will not have to disrupt entirely what is going on with that. And she says, I've talked quite a bit. What is it that all of you need?
Cyril finds them frankly a little boring.
Okay.
And so drifts off the group to where there's a statue of a Catholic martyr, some sainted martyr.
Okay.
And Cyril just.
Do you think this is Saint Renata, who the church is dedicated to, or a different one?
Maybe it is. Yes.
Okay.
And Cyril leans in close to the statue, runs his hand delicately down the torso scarred by the flagellation that led to them being martyred, and says, "It's been such a long time. How's tricks?" And I want to try and summon the help of a saint.
Okay.
I'm gonna give
move for that?
Well, I've got ask someone to betray another. I don't know, as my gaining darkness tokens, I don't know whether asking a Catholic saint to intercede on my behalf is sufficient to betraying God. What do you think?
Well, I think, given your reaction to other gods previously, that certainly is the case, and certainly your intention is not good.
Well, then
you're not asking because you need their help. You're asking because it's a shitty thing to do.
It is. And so I'll take 4 darkness tokens for that, because it's God, you know.
And what is the move?
Call me master. I want them to fulfill a single command exactly as I wish.
Okay. So you are manifest. So I think there's actually 2 parts to this. You want to manifest the saint, right? You want to summon them up, and then you want to invoke them.
Yeah, fair enough.
So let's start with the first part of that. And I do think this is enough that we probably need to do 2 things. So why don't you power through darkness here?
That would seem fair, wouldn't it? So let's roll. Let's invest 3 darkness tokens in that.
Okay.
Knocking me straight back to 1. Roll the 2d6. 8, 9, 10, 11.
So choose one. Mark a condition to exert better control of your powers, or let the keeper tell you how the situation is not under your control.
Oh, I think I'll mark a condition at this point.
What are you marking?
Lustful, because Renata was hot in his day.
All right. So I think that Saint Renata, she will appear there, manifest. We'll talk about what do the others see happen here, Cyril?
Oh, I think literally I walk out of the shadows with Renata on my arm and say, "Hi guys, meet Renata."
Weeper, let me get your reaction to this. And then I want to talk about the NPC's reaction to this.
I will run over to Father Oscar Murata, drop to my knees and grab his hand and say, "Father, forgive my friend. He worships false idols. And forgive me, for I am a worm, and I will lick his hand."
Okay. Are you trying to do a move, or are you trying to just get a reaction?
I would like a bit longer time with Dr. Murata, so probably now's not the best time to do it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think here is what he says. He says, "I said that we shouldn't bring you sons of bitches in here. You don't know how much your presence is going to set back the people that I have worked with. This kind of jackassery summoning of things. It's these my charges do not need to see this kind of thing. I want to send them back into the howling pits."
Hey,
Father,
hey,
forgive
cool
him,
it, Jack.
for he knows not what he does.
Cool it, Jack. There's no patience here. You want this solved? Do you not
Cyril,
believe in the power of the saints, man?
I believe in the power of the saints, but not in the power of whatever you are. Let's have you do your other half of this move, and then I want to come to Egther and Lissa.
Okay, now I only have one darkness token left, so I'm gonna spend that to call me master 2d6 plus 1.
Okay.
Oh wow, 12.
Holy cow.
You wonder if this is truly what you desire. Choose one from above and one from below. I think that. Oh, it's so tempting. I'm going to create a place of worship and power in my name. No, I think that Saint Renata will grant me a new temporary power. To see through the eyes of one of the victims.
Okay.
Whichever one was the best
power.
Catholic.
Yeah, we'll use that later for a grasping keys. We can use that. What about the other
one below? Yeah, an old enemy takes notice. Your true self-immersion will destroy one bond. Receive a terrible vision of the future. Mark one ruin. Yes, I receive a terrible vision of the future, and I will mark one ruin. Thank you.
I think you see yourself bound down by vines and flowers and plants. And I think that you realize as you look around and see the ruined scape around you, and you cannot move, that you are seeing just a flash of Natalie's vision of the overgrown city, and it has bound you, and you know you cannot escape.
And I think we'll in that shared vision, I think I'm in it, and then I look around and there's Natalie looking at me, and then we're back in the cathedral.
Perfect. Egther, this is going on. The Chancellor doesn't know what to do. You can see that she's assuming this is some kind of weird illusionary parlor trick or something. And she's like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. Yes. All right. Yes. And kind of looking at you and Lissa. What do you do, Egther?
I think Egther finds all this bickering over religion very petty and uninteresting. So he's standing back and just waiting for this to pass so we can get on with the reason we're here.
Are you going to talk to Natalie? Are you going to try to talk to the chancellor? Maybe get other information while this is going on, or are you just kind of holding your moment there?
I think actually I'm going to milk this a bit. I think I'm feeling lonely because this is all very human for all of
Yeah.
Surreal's majesty and claims of godhood. He's acting very, very human.
Hmm.
And Weeper is also, I feel here, kind of trapped in these human ideas about gods and all of that
Okay.
in this moment. So it's like I feel like I'm standing apart and just waiting for them to get
I
over.
I do think that there's a slamming sound, and I think people will be startled as the doors of the church come flying open, and this wind comes through, and then your wolf is there at your heels.
Yeah, I'll reach down. I think first I reach down with my glamour hand,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't react to that. He like moves over to the other side. So I reach down to
Yeah.
scratch it with the actual real hand.
Oh, very nice. Listen, what about you?
I'm going to walk over to Egther and kind of stand up on tiptoes and whisper in his ear, let's get out of here. We can take a minute or two for ourselves. You know, Surreal's going to be on his bullshit for at least another half hour or so.
Yeah. Yeah, Igther sort of grunts and nods and gestures for Lissa to lead the way.
And I'm going to kind of look just to make sure everybody's attention is on Surreal. And I want to leave the cathedral because I want to take a moment to I want to take a second to have an intimate moment with Egther because I've got the start of session move, my hands around your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And Andish, are you okay with Egther being the, I mean, I think with the Covenant one, this is kind of obvious, but are you willing to be Lissa's heart for the remainder of the session?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how intimate of a moment do you feel like having?
I think I think we're walking out from the cathedral and out into the sun, and I think it's an emotional connection. It's
Okay.
I don't think it's physical, but I think there's a clear emotional emotional thing. Does that
Okay.
work for you?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's a beautiful day. But I am going to mark a condition.
Okay.
Because even though it's beautiful, I can't help but feeling like it's not going to last. So I'll mark despairing and what the hell? I'll gain a key.
So,
Ooh, at great cost.
yep. I think you step out into the evening there. It's late afternoon, and you step, and there is a moment of a shift of light out here as you step out into the sunlight, and you see this isn't the campus. You don't see that. Instead, you see another place or time, something familiar to you. What is the tragedy of the vision that you see before you?
We emerge into a different time. And I don't know how far forward we are, but the ruins of the university are barely ruins. There's dust blowing around. And I look up and the sun is black. And it's just radiating blackness outward.
And then it's back to the normal campus very quickly. That sudden change of things. And I think you will look down and you will see that you've kind of stepped outside, and you've stepped on, it looks like some loose change on the ground. And when you bend down to pick them up, you'll see it's a few Spanish coins, but then one of them amongst them is it looks strange. And it is an old coin, an ancient coin, that you can tell has Arabic writing on it and looks like a coin from Andalusian Islamic Spain. And that's the key. The vision is the ticking of the doomsday clock. So we now have one tick on the doomsday clock. Now, Ector, you also get to make a choice if you want to mark a condition.
Ooh, wait, let me check the move. Yeah, either of you can mark a condition. Ooh, I need to check. Huh. I already have despairing marked.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure any of the others. I feel like any of the others
Okay.
reflect
Certainly you don't
the
have to. You
relationship.
don't have to. So let's cut back inside to Weeper, since we kind of got a little bit of you and then we kind of moved away. So maybe a chance to talk to Father Murata.
Yeah, basically, as men can and women can't, I am going to seek a confessional in public with the father.
Okay.
And I will tell him that I prey upon the innocents, and I'm concerned that a university with so many young people, an arts festival with so many young people about, young boys, young girls, I may be tempted to prey upon the innocent. I've had impure thoughts.
He says, Division, do you think that they know this part of you? Did they send you knowing this? Do they have faith in you?
Oh, they have faith in me, Father. Yes. I'm not too sure I have faith in myself. What should I do?
And I think there is that line where like he talks about the necessity of giving yourself over to God and letting him help raise up your faith. And it's very classic, but it's also mixed with like he is by training a psychologist. So there is a little bit of him, saying you need to. And then he says, let me tell you why that is important to me.
My father.
I work with those people who have been victims of the worst of the monsters, who have had their lives changed, broken, shattered. You do not want to do that. You are strong, and your strength can break the things around you, and you must be gentle with that.
I will aim to, Father. I will aim to. I will aim to be a better man.
You can always come to me here in the church. And he will kind of reach into his pocket and pull out his card, and he will say, and you can call me. It has the, essentially the address for the Returners Institute that he oversees here. If you need to see what damage can be done to people, perhaps I can show you that, so you can use that to bolster your faith. Your desire to do good, yes.
Thank you, Father. And I will again lick his hand.
He is trying not to be repulsed in that way, that like he imagines Jesus and the lepers, and he tries his best, but it is clearly, you are unnerving as hell. Suriel, you wanted to use this person to gain a key, I believe, right?
Yeah, she's granted me this temporary power to see through the eyes of one of the victims, and I'm going to leave it to you to tell me which of them was the best Catholic.
Well, why don't you roll grasping keys?
Fine.
We have the fictional positioning for it, so we'll use this for that.
Okay. Spend darkness tokens. Yeah, there's a problem with that, isn't there? Because I don't have any right now, so we'll just roll 2d6.
Now, I will point out how unpleasant you were to the father after you brought the saint back.
Oh yeah, spite and arrogance.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair point. I will milk the Catholic Church for
Yeah. I was going to stop you at that when you did that to offer them, but we were kind of in the middle of a sequence there.
Well, in which case I'll spend 3.
Okay.
That is 13.
So on a 13, you uncover a key, but there's significant complication, loss, or fallout. People will tell you what it is. So I think that the saint whispers in your ear, and you will see a person stumbling across the campus. It's after dark. You see them. It's weird. They're reaching up in front of them, like they're trying to grab at something, but they can't. And they're kind of freaking out. You realize that like seeing through their eyes, seeing through their mind, that they have some problems, and and you now realize that this is that last victim. This is that returner. And he's trying to do something, whatever he could do in that other world, but he can't do now when he's back here. And he's kind of like trying to do that. And then he rushes towards the doors of the church. And then he just falls. And he's laying there, his eyes open, and you will tell that there's a presence nearby, and this thing is lowered down in front of his face where he's laying. You're not sure why is he laying there, what's going on, I can't tell, but you see this bouquet waved down in front of his face, but it is a bouquet of weeds. And then he's gone. And that is your clue.
A bouquet of weeds.
Yes. And I think that outside, you all will hear some noise. I think Egther and Lissa will see this, and you will see that there's clearly a campus theater that's part of the arts festival. You can see the things up there, and you see the audience like streaming out of this what film showing or whatever, at like in a panic, in a rush, and but clearly not like if it had been a shooter or a fire, there'd be a different reaction. But they all come out and they are all kind of grabbing themselves and holding their heads and looking around. And I think that I'm going to kind of hard frame this up as you all kind of move, and you'll hear them talking, and they're all like whatever they saw on the movie clearly repulsed them, or some or something. They can't describe it. And you hear, like, as you're wandering amongst them, that like no one is quite sure what they saw, and no one is agreeing on it. Where they have a detail in their head, they can't describe it. So that is our second tick on the doomsday clock. The film of unease.
So they all seem unsettled and kind of horrified.
Yes.
Can
I'd
I
like
use
to-
my haunting? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'd like to try to help them if I could.
How do you want to do that?
Is it nighttime yet?
No, we're in the afternoon.
Okay. In that case, I want to unleash the darkness to basically create a constellation of stars above us, like twinkling, like bright twinkling lights, just to distract them and show them something beautiful.
Okay, I can see where that could go terribly wrong. So yeah, how many darkness tokens do you want to spend?
I will have only got 3, and I can only spend 3, so I'm going to spend all 3.
Okay.
That's a 10.
That is a 10. I do think that it looks like some kind of like laser light show, like audio-visual presentation, like multimedia thing for them. Like that's how they're interpreting this. And I think there is that distraction. Like they don't want to remember what they saw in the film. They don't want to. They want to erase it from their minds. And I think that you give them this way to like talk to other people about what this is. But I think we are kind of pulling back on this group of people there, the 4 of you outside. Maybe we start to pan in to the theater where the film is still going, and we're just about to see, like, go through the doors to see what's on the screen, and that's when we're going to cut to black. And that's where we're going to end the session. Let's do our XP check-in, shall we? Paul, let's start with you. Did we hit your XP trigger?
Yes, I think so. Did you give a human the gift of your hunger?
Oh, yes, you did.
Father Oscar Moroder is human, then I think I fulfilled that.
Yes. Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
I'd say humanity. I ask for forgiveness. I don't think there is much monstrous, although I don't know. Maybe
I
saying
think
I
the
feed on
licking
innocent.
is pretty
Yeah.
monstrous. So let's give you a point for that. Do you think you learned something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
Yeah, well, I think I leant quite heavily in on the. I don't think I'm unique anymore. I think I'm rebuilt. There may have been many versions of Weeper. So yeah, I think I did learn something.
Absolutely. And then did you learn something about a fellow monster?
No, don't. Well, I saw Surreal in action, but then I've seen Surreal in action lots of times.
Okay.
I think that's tenuous. I don't think I learned
Sure.
anything.
No, I think that's fair to take a pass on that. You did not gain a key, so
Mark Ruin.
you will mark a ruin. Lissa, did we hit your playbook XP trigger?
Surprisingly enough, no. I don't think I
Okay.
caused massive collateral damage this time.
No. And then did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
I think so. I mean, I went to counseling, if nothing else.
Absolutely. Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
I think so. Particularly the bit about an agent without agency in counseling, feeling powerless in the situation.
Absolutely. Mark and XP, did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
Ooh, I think so. I think that the conversation I had with Egther, and particularly making Egther my chosen and knowing that about him, and the darkness whispering to me that he's in the palm of my hand.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That does feel like certainly is of that kind of thing. And you found a key. That's that Islamic coin from Andalusian Spain. I put that in the mystery map now. So you don't mark a ruin. Let's come to Alan. Did we hit your playbook XP trigger? I think we probably did there.
I certainly tried to milk it to that point. Yeah, so I think that I did humiliate myself secretly in search of intimacy I crave.
So mark an XP for that. Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
Depending on whether they were convinced by that display, it was either the human or the monstrous. And I think bringing
your
a saint to
monstrous
life
nature
is probably monstrous.
Yeah,
I
mark an
really
XP.
struggled to suppress it. What can I say?
Yeah, you worked so hard to stop.
I know.
Did you learn something insignificant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
Well, I've learned that I am bound by vines in a city overgrown by foliage and vegetation.
Mark an XP. Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to count the fact that every time Weeper will lick somebody's hand, there's a trail of maggots left behind. I don't think that's sufficient.
Okay. So don't mark an XP for that. And you did not. You did uncover a key. So you will mark one. Not mark ruin. You will not ruin. Okay. Let us then come to Egther. Did you hit your playbook trigger? I think we did.
Yeah, we discussed that before.
So mark that. Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
Yeah, I think I expressed my humanity in my conversation with Lissa.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
Yeah, I learned that Lissa has power over me that is disconcerting.
Absolutely. And did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
Yeah, that's kind of the same one, I think.
Yeah, I think that
But
there's
also,
yeah.
But
It's a
also about
double-sided,
Weeper,
yeah.
I feel like when Weeper gave away his hand, that was also a significant moment that he both that he feels that he has some kind of obligation to repay his debts, and that's
Oh yeah. And you didn't unlock a key, so you will mark a ruin. I would like to do a quick stars and wishes if everybody's cool with that. Paul, can I start with you?
Yeah, some good leaning in from Puckett onto the human side of his character. That was nice to see, and again from Anders, the sort of more human side. Alan, yeah, leaned quite nicely into the monstrous side. That was very, very good. I thought the summoning of the saint, that was a stonkingly good monstrous display.
Yes.
Very good, and some good GM there, lol. Always easy. Very nice.
Anything wishes wise?
No, we've got a place of worship. Got to lick somebody's hand.
Okay.
Some innocence to pray on, maybe. But
yeah. I definitely took your place of worship thing to heart. So we definitely wanted to make sure we got us a cathedral and a priest to on stage. Alan, stars and wishes?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the developing relationship between Lissa and Egtha. I really enjoyed the counseling session. I thought it was really, really good. Weeper is becoming increasingly disgusting. The whole licking things is just really uncomfortable. And thanks for giving us a bit of time, Lowell. A star to you for giving us that little bit of time, downtime, if you like, just to explore division, to flesh out a couple more, divisionistas, as I want to describe them, but I can't say it.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. Thank you. Wishes. I've cashed in my XP already, so I've got I've cashed. I needed one. So I start next time with 2, and I've taken a new division move, which is honorary human status. Unlike most monsters, you've been accepted by society as a whole and are at least somewhat famous. When you take this move, also blah, blah, blah. So we do that next time. But I think,
absolutely.
So I would like to, discover something of my social network and my followers.
I think that's a great idea. And a perfect fit, especially since you're going to be amongst a whole group of connected, excitable people. Lissa?
So the first star I want to give out, Paul, the scene with Saint Vincent where Weeper was talking about whether he can enter heaven because he's a pile of maggots, and Saint Vincent saying, no, you're your soul in there. That was just fantastic. I loved that scene. It added humanity to Weeper that I'm not sure had been there previously. It really kind of hammered home the point that Weeper's deeply religious, and just, I loved that. Alan, I think my favorite thing that Serial did this scene or did in this session was the debrief, because it seemed like Serial got almost obsequious with that neutralizer present, just kind of like sucking up, like, oh goodness, oh no, oh me, oh my. Like, instead of being an arrogant prick, Serial seemed kind of scared almost. So that was really interesting to see. Andish, I started you because I have a feeling that Egther is going to be the way that Lissa kind of holds on to humanity in a weird way. I don't know, maybe not. Who knows? Who could say? Lowell, great jamming as always. I appreciate the counseling scene was fun. That was interesting. So good job there. I also gave the counselor a name, if you don't mind.
Oh, good. Absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Thank you. Anything wishes wise?
No. Just seeing where all this mess goes.
Okay.
besides Hell in a Handbasket.
Right. And Egther.
Yeah, I think all the player things have been mentioned. I do want to give you a star for the debrief scenes, for making them distinct and different, and pulling just the right amount, I felt, from what happened into like assumed parts of our reports. I think that I think that was really good.
Anything wishes wise?
I don't think so. It's
Okay.
this game is hitting all my wishes already.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited about this. This is the namesake mystery for the series. The name of this the mystery is Till We Have Faces. And it is difficulty 6. There are themes of abduction in here, you know, those kinds of PTSD, Stockholm syndrome, things like that, just as a mention of kind of those things to keep those in mind. This is one I wrote, so we're playing around with it for the first time, so we'll see how it goes. It's also besides, you'll see some other homages here, but of course I chose Barcelona because in the very first session, Puckett mentioned Spain as a location for division, and of course Barcelona was where we had some wildly off the rails sessions in the Knights Black Agents game, so I wanted to bring us back to Barcelona. Thank you all so much. I am going to stop the recording.